Hello, my name is Alicia Morales Escobar. Welcome to the information of the country of Ethiopia. To talk about its origins, Ethiopia stems from 3000 BC. Given how old it is hard to dictate exactly its origins of Ethiopia. Ethiopia is winning the oldest nation of Africa for a very long time. This land was known as the land of Nush, going on to the modern day Ethiopia. However, we can talk about the fact that is modern, that it has never been fully colonized by any European nation. However, Italians did come into Italy, particularly during the First World War. There was an Italian fascist regime in Ethiopia, which was eventually kicked out due to the victory of the Allies. However, not all the Italian fascists left Ethiopia, which eventually led to a civil war. From the Civil War, Ethiopia was able to drive out the remaining out of the Italians, and thus it remained as a country of Ethiopia. Looking into Ethiopia, now we can see that its GDP is of 1,007.6 million. GDP refers to gross domestic products, and from GP we can infer that given that living standards of the country, which a GDP of 1,007.6 million, that Ethiopia is not one of the richest countries, nor does have such as high standards of living. It is obvious from this that its mortality rate, maybe is in education, may not be as good as good, and its businesses are not prospering as much. This aligns with the fact that it is a third world country and that its GDP, based on catch up growth. What this means is that they are essentially catching up to the other nations. Rather than making their own innovations, we can look at its GDP per capita, which is only 960.345. In comparison, that US is 64,000. Here we can see that the amount of money they spend on exports on capital, on products and services is fairly low. By comparison, again indicating a low living standard, which once again we can see through its Human Development Index of only 0.4865. The closer yard of the battery, it is countries such as US have a 0.96. Again, from this, we can see that Ethiopia might experience very low education, low literacy rate, high mortality rates, and lower life expectancies. In fact, when we look at Ethiopia, with a population of 150 million people, its literacy rate is only 51.77%, meaning that only around half of the people in Ethiopia can read and write. However, moving from economies, we can go into something that you keep your flourish, in which is music. The traditional theory in music is called Kenet. Kenet is then divided into four subsets called Taseta, Bati, Ambasel, and Anihoi. Is there folkloric music in which they use a lot of really unique instruments, such as a masinko. The masinko plays like a violin. However, it is made of horse tail and it's high. This instrument is mainly used in the north. Another cool and unique instrument is the krark. The original version of this instrument is acoustic. However, over time, they have modernized and made electric versions of it, which play like a bass. This has been very common throughout many of their instruments. where they originated as acoustic, but have now obtained electric versions of them. When looking at some of their famous artists, Alemeyehu Asete is one of their most prominent artists, as he has moved their music from folkloric music into a more modern HF style of music. Now, moving towards their food, one of the traditional dishes is called injera, which is the most as is associated with Ethiopian culture. It actually was invented by a Dutchman. Here we can see how cultural diffusion can influence many parts of one culture, including the food. Injera's food is usually traditional food what they eat during New Year's and weddings and also family celebrations. Injera is a bread that they eat with different kind of lentils, meat, and cabbage. They also have their ceremony of coffee that is very important when people come to visit or in special occasions. Next, we look into the language. Ethiopia is very unique in the fact that it has many dialects. As there are various ethnic groups around the country, do you see the fact there is many dialects? It is obviously see the consequences that is stem from it. We learn in class that language is one of that draws a group of people together, makes him unify, creates a culture, and builds them into the community. However, with so many dialects spoken running Ethiopia, there is a clear separation among the people. However, the lingua franca chosen from the country is Amharic. Amharic, it is Afroasiatic language from the Southwest Semitic group. Amharic comes from the first millennium BC, dating back to the of King Solomon. It was brought from Arabia when its people crossed the Red Sea. A Red Sea infirmary tree, it spilled into Ethiopia. In all of the Ethiopian, only 29.3% of their population actually speaks Amharic. This means that not even a third of the country speaks a lingua franca of the nation. Again, from this, and see the many consequences that it poses. Now we can explore the religion. I need the religion to be 2/3 of the Ethiopian population identifies as a Christian and 1/3 is Muslim. More specifically, Jews are defined as Christian or either Orthodox Protestant. Now we explore their music, food, language, and religion. We can take a closer look at either ethnicity as a whole. As I said before, Ethiopia divided into many regions, and each region has own ethnic group. There are 10 regions to be exact, meaning there are at least 10 big ethnic groups and many subsets of those. So again, this means that there is a lot of division among us, the people. This is crucial when it comes to centrifugal forces, and it means that there are a lot of things that divide up the nation. To be more exact, somebody that we should talk about that is going on right now is the Ethiopian civil war. The civil war is being fought between the government and the TPLF, known as Tigray's people. Liberation from this war began in the year of 2020, is still going on today. To explain a bit more about the war, I will give a quick background of it, as I believe it is something that we should all be aware of right now. Do you see open governments use a federal system in which all 10 regions, meaning all 10 ethnic groups, higher decisions and political affairs in manners? However, over the years, it became obvious that the Tigray Party had more influence than any other groups and were concerning other groups into being affiliated with them. Upon realizing this, it was clear that democracy was no longer there and that many human rights were being violated. And so there was a government structure in which a prime minister was put in place. His name is Abiy Ahmed. Once he was put into power, the TPLF immediately felt saddened as they were losing all their political power, and they believed that the prime minister was only there to centralize power of the prime minister. First action were to remove all of the Tigray political leaders from power that had been accused of corruption. This did not sit well with them, and so began many protests. These protests escalated into the point where in November of 2020, the EPLF attacked a federal military base, and this marked the start of the war. Since then, 9.4 million people in northern Ethiopia have been affected in the war. The government is now hunting down anyone who is associated with the Tigray ethnic group, meaning even if the people is not fully support the political actions, so long as you look like they will be hunted down. This has led to a lot of families being divided, people killed across the northern part of Ethiopia. Other countries have tried to help. However, the government implemented a blockade, and so less than 10% of the help has actually gone into in this as a development issue. We can change at any moment, as it is still going on right now. Next, I will talk about the culture of their biggest celebration is New Year, but unlike here where we can celebrate January 1st, in Ethiopia tends to celebrate on September 11 or the 12th, depending on the year. This New Year celebration is known as Enkutastas, which translates to gift of jewelries. The reason which is named like that because it dates back to 1980s BC, where the Queen of Shika had a meeting with King Solomon, and that day she returned back to the land of Ethiopia. She was welcomed with a great many jewelry as gift. It is also symbolized the end of the rain season, which in the country that is mostly farmland and depending on his crops. We see from each GDP, it is a way to celebrate that crops are ready to be eaten and sold. Nowadays, it is celebrated by giving children gift reminiscent of the way that people at once gave gift of the Queen of Shika. Another incredible aspect of the culture is their clothes, and isn't interesting to see just how much the environment affects their fashion. And like, do you ask work clothes mentally? Dependent on the way it looks in Ethiopia. Clothes is more criticized for its functions. For example, in the north, where it's usually a lot of colder, people tend to use very heavy materials and wrap around blankets to protect them from the cold. Their clothes is more tight skin, so the heat does not escape from the heat does not escape their bodies, and they tend to use a lot of more leather, such as goat skin and horse horsehide. The colors are traditionally seen up in the north are red, purple, and black. As those are the colors that absorb most heat. Again, this shows how much the environment has influence in their clothes, as their clothes is mainly used of war as a form of functionally may contrary down in the south, whereas a lot of warmer people use light cotton fabrics and the clothes it is a lot more flowy. So that allows air flows to their body and allows the heat to escape. They also tend to use a lot of more lighter clothes, such as white and beige, as those protecting from the sun since they repel it. One of its traditional pieces, which is worn all over Ethiopia, it is the Habesha chemise. This is usually a long, loose robe, which is normally worn in white. It is interesting to see the mix of patterns, as there are patterns are a mixture of Christian and indigenous symbols. In fact, this robe tends to use a lot of similars across as Ethiopian belief, that is wards of evil spirits and misfortune. There are a lot of ornaments such as silver and gold, which once again help repel evil. These ornaments are usually seen around the collar, chest, and the sides of the editor. People believe that no spirits are likely to enter, so that decoration is focused on those part of the clothes. Finally, telling all about Ethiopia, I hope you are eager to visit, and hopefully one day you will. And in case you will go, I can give you three of the top tourist attractions in Ethiopia, so you can indulge in all the cultures and glory. The first destination I recommend it's called the Lalibela, where Jesuit religious attractions and how these 11 churches built by the Kinialibela in the 12th century. These churches are all constructed underground and made out of sand, and is truly a sight to be seen. He was constructing when there was a medieval settlement in the land, and it attacked as a second Jerusalem. The next place I recommend to see is Teli, Elephant Sanctuary. Sadly, in Ethiopia, many elephants are hunted due to their tusk and ivory, as they can be very pricey in the black market. Because of this, the elephants have now become an endangered species, with only around 1,000 elephants being present in the country. This sanctuary houses 400 out of 1,000 elephants left in Ethiopia. So you can enjoy their sight and play around with the elephant. It is also home to gazelles, lions, leopards, cheetahs, and some of the exotic birds of Ethiopia. Finally, I recommend you visit the Blue Nile Falls. If you love to hike, the Blue Nile Falls, it is amazing to hike with an astonishing view at the top the Nile. The Nile Falls stems from the Nile River, which is the longest river and in all the Africa. That falls are around 45 meters high, and there is plus you'll be able to see the first stone bridge built in Ethiopia. which was constructed in the 17th century. When if you go there, you can make source to share with me all of your amazing pictures. And so this concludes our information about Ethiopia. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much.